Okay, Olivia, that's recording for you now. So just let me get set down and then away we go. Right, off we go.
Okay, my name is Olivia Watson-Smith and I will be presenting my pitch, BBC 1.5. My idea is BBC 1.5 and I'll be explaining to you the pros of my show, what my show is about, the features in my show and the advantages my show has. In this pitch, I will be pretending I'm presenting this to Ben Cooper and Piers Bradford. Ben Cooper is the managing editor of Radio 1 and 1 Extra, and Piers Bradford is the commissioning editor of Radio 1 and 1 Extra. After looking at what they had commissioned, I saw they had commissioned things like Matt Edmondson, Tom Deacon and Dan and Phil show. So this leads me on perfectly to why my show would fit with the BBC, fit in with the BBC. The idea of BBC 1.5 is to mix the listeners from Radio 1 and Radio 2 together. It's a 1-hour show once a week, every Sunday morning from 11 till 12. The show will consist of music, comedy and a lot of use from multimedia, so it's not just something to be listened to, it's something to watch online, and my point is that there's more to radio than just music. The reasons for mixing Radio 1 and Radio 2 listeners is because there is quite they are very similar in many ways. They have different age group for listeners, but they don't really have much more than just good personalities. So they have, you know, you listen to Radio 1, you're listening to Nick Grimshaw, and you're listening to Radio 2, you're listening to Chris Evans. They're great, and most people are listening to them just because who is presenting. They just have music, games and features, and Radio 1 does use a lot of social media, not so much like internet, but Radio 2 doesn't use as much social media as Radio 1. But this leads me on to internet culture. So internet and multimedia is the future. It's everywhere and it's only going to become bigger and better. The internet has been around since the 1960s and has become a necessity in everyone's household. Radio 1 use internet to great effect, such as Facebook and Twitter, but they don't use it to the extreme of what they could do. So they could use it to teach a little bit more and use it in everyday shows. I want to get Radio 2 listeners more involved with the fun side and the social side of the internet. This is where there's a gap in the market for my show. My show will help both generations learn from each other, as it will get Radio 1 listeners more opinionated and involved in discussions about the world, and Radio 2 listeners to see the fun and enjoyable sides of the internet from my particular radio station. So the Dan and Phil show is a good example of how they've taken internet to the next level. They have a show every Sunday night, and they get listeners involved by it being visual. They say when radio and internet collide. They started on YouTube and were this huge success, and then they were commissioned to be on Radio 1. Dan and Phil use technology in fun and exciting ways to get people more involved. You can view them online, and you can see videos that the listeners have made, and it's just all very interactive, like through visual. This is a little clip of the start of their show, and it's just showing what radio used to be kind of to now, just by the introduction of it.
Exciting news up, Radio 1. we have any idea what you're going to be on? Do we have anything planned?
How would you say that I can make my show more swaggy?
Maybe, Phil, should we tell...
Yeah, that's that. But that is just showing how what Dan and Phil are about to do is the future of radio. But I want to use the idea of the Dan and Phil show as my show, using the visual aspect, but I don't want to use the content, as it relates to a Radio 1 listener, but not so much a Radio 2 listener. So they started something new and it's huge, and I feel that the presenters on the screen help the listeners and viewers become more engaged and create not only a fun and uplifting show, but also an educational one. I'll do this in my show by the news, the features and the general discussion all being on the screen, so people can watch it as well. And that's how I want to do it. Oh yes, okay. The 1 hour show will consist of music, predominantly consist of music as it is a radio station. The music will be varied to accommodate each generation. The main feature will be a 15-minute comedy sketch, which will be watched on the internet as well as played on the radio. It will be different each week with different comedians, and it will be about what's going on around the world. It'll be fun and enjoyable. After doing some research into what type of comedy acts I want, I thought that the Russell Howard would be perfect for this. It would be perfect for kind of, this is an example of something I'd like on my 15-minute sketch.
Good news. Hope you've had a good week. So, what's been happening? Well, first up, Frankie Kokoza was spotted in traffic. I've been angry in my time, but I've never made a noise like this.
They should be really up saying, hey, it's your show next month, can we put up a couple of signs for you? I mean...
So that's just an example of what I'd like to have in my 15-minute show. Something like this, but I want it to be varied, so each week it changes using different comedians. The reason for having a 1 hour show once a week is I want it to be short and snappy, including songs and world content. I will hire an army of comedy writers. The reason I only want a 1 hour show is so the 15-minute sketch can be like the best. It will give a sense of excitement and importance, as it will only be on every Sunday from 11 till 12. This 15-minute sketch will also be downloadable, and I also want to bring this back. As you listen to Nick Grimshaw's breakfast show, you listen to it once and that's it. You don't really listen to it over and over again. I want to be able to get podcasts that you want to share with your friends and family, and it's a show that everyone enjoys. The sketch will be of high quality, to add to the fact that it's only being produced once a week. Yeah, and it's something that the listeners will look forward to. The faces of the show, I don't want just one presenter. I want different like the person who is doing the comedy sketch that week, I'd like them to present the show. This is just a good idea because it makes it different. And if they are your favourite comedian or a comedian that you know and like, you're more likely to tune in. And that's basically my show. Are there any questions?
Okay, thank you, Olivia. When's this on?
Sunday from 11 till 12.
In the morning or in the evening?
In the morning.
In the morning. Sunday from 11 to 12. Can you tell me what else is on the radio at that time?
There is a few other shows on at that time, such as, it seems to have gone out of my head what is on, but I know it's on Radio 1, it's yeah. There are other shows on at that time, but I know that will be people listen to that every Sunday morning. But I feel like this show could potentially just take up an hour of someone's time that they might enjoy a lot.
Right, and so this programme is a suggestion for an entirely new network, so not a BBC station, that's all?
It is a BBC station, but it will be BBC 1.5.
Okay.
That's what it's called, so it's like Radio 1, Radio 2, and it's...
Right. And would you anticipate that being available on FM or on DAB?
It will be on both.
Okay, it'll be on both.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're doing a 15-minute visual comedy sketch that we're watching online, how will that work for somebody who's listening to you while they're driving their car?
Well, it will be all audible, like you can hear it all, but the idea is if you can watch it, that's just even better. So like for instance, the Dan and Phil show, you can, I think I've only watched them online once, but I listen to them in my car. It makes you want to watch them because they're saying watch this, but you can listen to it and understand it. And it also makes you want to go back and watch it again, like to see it.
Okay, and you're going to hire an army of comedy writers. How many comedy writers do you anticipate?
About 25 to 50.
25 to 50. And what impact do you think that would have on the costing of your show?
That would have a bit of an impact, yeah, because they cost a lot. But maybe 25.
25 comedy writers?
15 to 25,
15
I'd
to
say,
25.
yeah.
Okay, for a 1 hour programme once a week?
Yeah.
And are these writers
Maybe
only
that. Yeah. 10.
10?
Yeah.
Are they working full time?
Part-time.
Part time? How many days a week?
3
days a week?
3 to 4 days a
3 to
week.
4 days a week. Okay, Olivia, that's lovely. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Shall I stop this?
Yeah, please.
Do I stop it just by pressing the red?
Yeah, right.